let's talk about the reasons to get into insurance. Why should someone look at insurance and see this as a viable alternative if they need to make a midlife course correction?
Okay. Well, I had a meeting with a guy recently that might be coming to join me. I don't know. We'll see. But he's got a job that's tough on the bones. It's tough on the body. He's putting in a lot of physical labor in his work, and he's making a lot of money. And so he's saying, I'm making a good income on a good job, but my body hates me for it every single day. Mine doesn't, not for that reason. I shouldn't be playing basketball with my high school kids. That's why my body hates me. But the overall job, no, it's pretty laid back on a physical level. And if you can get started at a certain point, yeah, you start at a very base level, but as time goes on, you can kind of do another layer and another layer. And it's one of those that because of retention, because of repeat customers, just renewals and such, you can really build as time goes and make yourself a good income. You just got to do your job well and not ever become complacent.
So it's steady. It's not hard on the body. What are then some reasons that someone shouldn't get into insurance?
I mean, you got to have patience. Like I know that in my prior gig, they were losing patience with me after the first year. Like I wasn't getting the sales that they anticipated during a terribly hard market, and they were ready to send me to the curb. And it's just not how it works. I don't think most of us jump out and start to be successful right away. I think you really got to put in the work, put in the effort, get good at your job, impress your customers, and then those customers refer more and more and more. And that's how time will build. It's not just simply a matter of, contrary to what a lot of the books say, you don't just go talk to 100 people to get 30 of them to give you the time of day, 10 to let you quote, 5 to be successful so that you can sell 3 that day. That's a long day. And a lot of people annoyed with you, and you're going to run out of people to call real quick. So I like to do it with the intention of impressing everybody that I'm dealing with at that moment, in hopes that when they're getting to talk, they're going to give good referrals. And we see that. We see it online, neighborhood pages that say, who do you recommend? And our names get dropped a lot more than you would think an agency our size gets put in there. Yeah, we get a lot of nice referrals.
That's good. Now, when it comes to the personality of an insurance agent, what are the qualities that you kind of need? And what are the qualities that, if you have them, you really shouldn't get into this field?
Yeah. I just mentioned that boss that I had. I've told people before, some of the best advice I ever got from her over the years. She's absolutely was an amazing boss, and I loved her to death. And she used to say, whatever you do, hire people better than you. And I truly feel that in my staff, that I've got people that can be better at my job than I am. And I'm proud of that. And I think that you need to have a certain, like I've said in the prior ones, servant's heart. You need to have a willingness to help, a patience level. At times, the people in my office show patience that I just don't have. I tend to be a little more direct than I should be sometimes. And I have to then get the look from across the office of, come on, Marty, that's not how we do things. And, but yeah, you got to be patient because some of them they hate insurance. And so you kind of got to play that role accordingly. You have to, it's tough. It's a long-term job, and you got to remember your role. And that's where I think that this is something that your role is, that you plan on being here to serve them for the next 20 years in this situation. You want to be their long-term agent. You want to be their help, but you also got to remember you're here to protect them. And sometimes that means protecting them from themselves. And so you have some interesting conversations sometimes.
So what about the obstacles then? Because obviously one of the things that's very apparent is that if you're going to get into insurance, you're going to spend at least 1 year really struggling to make it work. And that's fine, because if you get it to work, it's going to pay off in the end. Is the biggest obstacle in insurance just those first few years? Or is there something else that's not obvious?
Well, I mentioned before the customer of mine that's one of the best insurance agents that I've known. He didn't make it. He didn't make it in the industry, but it's not because he wasn't putting in the work. He literally moved here not knowing anybody. He worked his tail off. He worked way harder than me. He was a farmer's agent that knew his stuff. Farmers does a really good job of teaching their people their stuff, their product. He knew his stuff. He knew it well. And he was putting in the effort 7 days a week. He was out there working his tail off. He didn't make it. I did. He was better than me. And I'm thankful that I was able to make it, but I also started off with a massive amount of local connections, lots of friends and family that were willing to help me out. I got a lot of yeses when he was getting nos. And that wasn't because I was a better salesperson. I think it was because I had a history with people that they knew they could trust me. When I came from insurance, or when I came from advertising, I should say, I reached out to a restaurant that we had dealt with a problem with an ad that didn't go well. And I got assigned to his account because of it. They had let go of the prior person and said, you jump in, you fix this.
Oh, so the guy screwed it up and then they threw you into the mix.
Yes, they threw me into the mix. And so I was able to immediately walk up to this guy when I got into into insurance and said, you've seen how I handle things when they go wrong. You've seen how I treat you as a customer. You know I'll be there for you moving forward. I'd like to work with you. And he's like, yeah, here's all my stuff. And it was a significantly easier than expected sale. And I think that there's something to that, is there's a history that comes with a successful insurance agent, that it's not just showing up with the right attitude and work ethic. You kind of have to come with a pedigree, so to say, of like the work that the relationships you've already established. But heck, if you've got that already going, where you've already well connected within a community and you've got a lot of friends that you could reach out to, and, they see you as a trustworthy individual and you've always been good to them, you might be perfectly aligned for that sort of job.
It is interesting because, like, I hear everyone says it, where the most important kind of marketing is honestly your network.
Yeah.
It's who you know, who knows you, and who trusts you.
Yeah.
And son of a gun, it's absolutely right. The biggest thing that I've done this year has just been developing those networks. And it takes months, sometimes years, to see those really pay off.
Yeah.
But it's amazing that if you don't have those, just how much work it takes to overcome the lack of those resources.
For sure. Yeah. And it's putting a value in everybody that you encounter, and not just the ones that you think can help you.
Yeah.
When it comes to the insurance side, I've seen it many times, not just a couple, but many times, where somebody that it didn't make sense to switch to me, that they were significantly loyal to another place and had no desire to come to me. It didn't matter. We still got to know each other and communicated and became, friends, if not just associates or whatever, but got to know each other. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, they're calling me up saying, hey, I'd love to get a quote. I've always thought highly of you, and, could you put something together for me? And now I've been their agent for, 10, 15 years, whatever it would be. And those relationships mattered. And yeah, I remember we did a little networking group once with just random people from random different walks of business. And I was sitting at the end of the table, like 20 different people at a little coffee group. So it's loud and lots of conversations going on. And she's with a human resources company. She looks at me and she goes, what are we doing here? We're absolutely wasting our time. Because all we're doing is getting a coffee and having conversations about our kids. And I said, yeah, that's what we're currently fighting against. I said, when you're out and you're dealing with the good old boys club, because they won't let you talk to them because they've already got connections that are so strong.
Yeah.
You're wondering, how do you crack it? You don't. You go make your own. Get your own good old boys club.
Yep.
And get your own group of people that think very, very highly of you, that will always stand by your side and support you and push your business towards success. And that may be this group of people, it may not. But you might meet one person in here that someday is a banker that approves a loan. Right now they're selling stereos. You know, we don't know. They may be somebody that's your inner circle someday. So just get out, meet people, be nice, and put a value in everybody you encounter.
There you go.